is on the art of resilience. I wanted to choose this theme for today, especially with us moving through 2020 and now into 2021. The art of resiliency has become this very important part of our lives as we move throughout these new experiences that we encounter on a daily basis. And resiliency can start on the mat. This power practice will focus more on empowerment to move us towards the muscle of resiliency. That it's something that we have to practice every single day, just like we're working out our biceps or even leg muscles. The muscle of resiliency is something that we can fine tune through even the smallest shifts. So as you're hanging out here in child's pose, practice resiliency first by turning on your breath, using your ujjayi, that Sanskrit word for victorious warrior breath, that we slow our breathing down and become more deliberate and intentional with how we're moving into our body. So start to feel that breath even come into the back body. So you're hitting every single part of your diaphragm. Maybe you outstretch the arms just a bit more, feeling the connection of muscle to bone. Notice that you're breathing. And let this be an anchor that you can connect to throughout these 60 minutes that cue you into mindful awareness and deeper consciousness in your own being. We'll move through different poses today that really allow us to challenge our resiliency. So some poses might be more physically challenging. Some poses might be more mentally and emotionally challenging. And wherever you're at, know that you have the power of choice to continue to breathe and show up for yourself exactly where you're at. On your next breath, walk your hands over towards the left side of your mat. So allowing yourself to move into a side body stretch. If you'd like, you can place that right hand on top of the left and dial the right cheek down towards the mat below. Continue to notice your breath, be with your breath. Get curious about where you're at today and each pose that we come into. Can you even allow your breath to move deeper into your intercostal muscles, that space on the right side of your rib cage? For about 2 more breaths. Your next inhale, come back towards the center line. Feel free to stay here. Again, power of choice in this practice. Or move towards the other direction for your side body stretch, other side. Left hand places on top of the right, left cheek dials down. So you'll continue to hear me offer up options, as that's an important part of a resiliency practice. That when we allow ourselves for different alternatives that suit our most authentic being, we continue to advocate in that space, giving the power of choice and more leeway for flexibility if we need to shift it up. Last round of breath here. Then come back towards the center line if you're not already there. And we'll meet into a tabletop position. Just stacking the shoulders over the wrists, knees and hips are in line. And then even start to turn on your core even here by zipping that belly button towards your spine. Roll your shoulders down your back body, start to open up the collarbone a little bit more. Then we'll go for traditional cat-cow to inhale, look up, and exhale, look down. And please know that you can continue to stay in this type of movement, or you can add on your own personal expression to make some circles or to move side to side. Again, what's going to feel best in your body in this moment? How can you continue to advocate for yourself in this practice today? Might look completely different even than what I cued, and that's totally awesome. As you know your body and mind best. We'll be here for a couple more breaths. Just moving our body freely. Or you can stay in stillness because that might be where you want to be today. Take one more full round of breath. And we'll move towards child's pose again, toes together, knees wide. Again, feel free to stay here or thread that right arm underneath the left, drop the right cheek down. And I'll offer different poses today. Know that I'm taking this journey right alongside you, offering curiosity to each moment that we practice. And if you hear something that I'm cueing that doesn't fit that journey right now, think of me more like Google Maps, where I can offer varied directions. But if you want to veer off and go your own direction, it's your own 60-minute class today. So again, you're the driver of your own car. You move the way you want to move. If you've taken the threading, go ahead and release towards the other side. Left arm underneath the right. Continue to open up deeper into your back body, creating space in between your shoulder blades. Notice the grounding while you're here, what's physically connected to the mat. Take one more full round of breath. We'll all meet back towards that tabletop position. Once you're there, walk your hands one hand's length distance forward, then shift the hips forward so you're in a modified plank. So rather than dipping the hips, that feels kind of like an upward facing dog, zip the belly button back towards the spine, roll the shoulders down your back body. You can hold here, maybe cross the legs, and we'll add on some tricep push-ups to lower down and press back up. Firing up more, lower down, press back up. Last time, lower, press back. Child's pose, we'll meet there. Toes together, knees wide. For this next transition, again, freedom of movement, you move towards cat-cow again, or it might feel nice here to move swan to child's. On your inhale, shift forward, swan pose, bend the knees, look up, shoulders roll back. Child's pose, press back, exhale. Couple more times, inhale, shift forward. Exhale, press back. Last time, inhale, and exhale, press back, child's pose. Again, when you're ready, tabletop position. Knees stay as they are. Walk the hands forward for puppy. So we're doing a lot of prep work to get to that first downward facing dog shape. But again, tiny shifts allow for bigger changes. So we check in with ourselves within these first 10 minutes of class to see where our body wants to go and the possibilities of moving forward. And continue to stay in puppy foot pose for about 2 more breaths. You might want to even walk the hands out wider to the outer edge of the mat to create space for your pecs. On your next breath, walk back up towards tabletop. We'll move into our first bigger back bend of camel. So allow yourself to come up onto your knees, hands towards the hips. Press the hips forward first. Lead with the upper chest so you get deeper into your thoracic rather than dumping into the lower back. One more big breath here. Exhale, tabletop position. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog, rise up. And you can always feel free to go back towards puppy if that's your preference today, or even tabletop. But if you're in downward facing dog, pedal it out, bend one knee at a time, maybe say yes and no with the head. When we're building a resiliency practice, we have to give ourselves time and space to really check in, being present with ourselves moment to moment, even when it's challenging. So that when we know we can show up for ourselves and move deeper into something, or maybe back off a bit, especially if we're feeling that it's too challenging for us in the moment. Lion's breath here. Inhale, nose. Exhale, sigh out, mouth. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath, inhale. And exhale, sigh out, mouth. Unplug the hands, walk your hands back to meet your feet towards the back of the mat. We'll hang into your favorite version of a forward fold. So that might be ragdoll pose, hands around opposite elbows, or just allowing the head to hang, arms to hang. Great place for a soft bend at the knees. Continue to power up with your breath, letting that still be the foundation of this practice. One more full breath here. Exhale, let it go. On your next breath, lift halfway, either hands towards the shins or maybe the quads. And even here, pull that belly button towards your spine so you're powering up from the center line of your core. Gaze slightly forward towards the front of the mat, elongate through your cervical spine. One more breath to lift. Exhale, forward fold, release. And as slow as you possibly can, head being the last to rise, come up to a standing position, vertebra by vertebra. Just feeling the space that you're already starting to create in your body. Then once you get towards a standing position, we'll hold in mountain pose. So for today's practice, we're about to move into sun salutations. But before we do that, we're going to hold this mountain pose for about 5 to 7 breaths. So I like to call this my power stance, almost like that Wonder Woman pose. So even here, feel empowered. Turn the core on, roll the shoulders back, feel muscle hug into bone with the legs, and maybe lift even more up into your side body so you start to feel like you're growing taller. And I'm 5'3", so every little inch helps. All right, continue to stay here. Get that tall, proud chest. Bigger breaths. Great place to close the eyes. Establish an intention directly towards your heart space. Know that this intention has the ability to shift every single moment. So the intention now, embody it in the present. One more full round of breath. Exhale, sigh out, mouth, let it go. Let's start to build some sun salutations, build some extra heat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, release. Halfway lift, inhale, either hands to the shins, quads, or maybe ground. Walk out back toward your downward facing dog. We'll meet there. We'll modify these sun salutations first, just building up some strength into the legs. Step that right foot forward for your lunge. Knee can be up or down, maybe blocks towards the side. So I'm going to demo with the knee down today. Really pull that chest forward. So we're thinking again that stance that we just did in mountain pose. Big breath in. Exhale, left leg meets the right, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold, release. Inhale, reach up, arms high. And we'll meet back mountain pose. So each time we're coming to this powerful stance, re-engaging here, re-establishing the intention each time that we move in. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, release. Halfway lift, inhale. Step the left leg back, so same leg as before, either back knee up or down. Take a breath. Exhale, downward facing dog, right leg meets the left. Again, feel free to stay here. If you'd like to add on your vinyasa, that chaturanga up dog, down dog, you have the option to move in. If you're moving with me, inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower down, maybe drop the knees. Inhale, either cobra pose with quads down or quads up for upward facing dog. We'll all meet downward facing dog, press back. Lion's breath to clear the space. Inhale. Exhale, sigh out. Other side, left leg, step it forward. Take your time to get there. Sometimes you might need to physically pull it there, and that's great. And continue to show up for yourself where you're at. Knee up or knee down. Take an inhale here. On your exhale, step forward, forward fold, right leg meets the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise, stand up, arms sweep up. And exhale, mountain pose. Give yourself a second, continue to breathe here. We've done each leg now. We'll move into one more time for the lunge and then full sun salutations on the way back forward. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Right leg, step it back, either knee up or knee down. Give yourself a breath. Downward facing dog, press to meet. Again, option to stay here or add on the vinyasa. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lift your chest. Again, we all meet downward facing dog, press back. Another lion's breath, clear the space. Inhale. Exhale, sigh out mouth. Your next breath, gaze forward, maybe step, or you can jump up towards your hands. Once you're there, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise, arms up high. Exhale, mountain pose, hands by your side. We'll stay here for a brief moment. Again, tuning back into our physical body, just noticing any tiny shifts, be it physically, mentally, and what do you need to adjust in that space? Again, could be your intention, could be an emotional shift. Continue to check and get curious with where you're at. Stay for one more full breath. Maybe a sigh out through your mouth. One sun salutation B, bend the knees, sweep the arms up. So this is your own personal variation of chair. I prefer a bar stool chair, but if you're looking for like that itty bitty IKEA chair where you sink the glutes low, maybe the arms are up or hands towards heart center. Continue to engage the glutes, engage the core, maybe shift the weight back more towards the heels. Feel your own sense of balance and empowerment. How can you show up in resiliency in a more challenging pose? Last breath. Exhale, forward fold, release. Halfway lift, inhale, step back plank position. Again, you can meet towards downward facing dog or add on chaturanga, up dog to down dog. Take the feet together towards the back of the mat so the ankles kiss. Reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. So really working on squaring off the hips first, feeling our hamstring engage. Usually my ego likes to turn on here and be like, well, I can get it higher. But really trying to stay in that anatomical boundary that supports our entire self. Now bend your knee, open up your hip. Know that you can also do this in tabletop if that's where you want to go. But also a great place to add on some movement here just to warm up into your hip joint with circles either into the hip or maybe ankle. On your next breath, we'll meet warrior one, step it forward. Give yourself some time to set up your feet so it's train track legs rather than a balance beam. Inhale, reach your arms up. Again, we'll be here for a couple breaths, hugging muscle to bone. So when I say train track legs, people are always like, wait, train track, excuse me? Rather than a balance beam, when we tend to have our heel intersect our arch, it doesn't really allow for our hips to turn forward and it could hurt our knee. So instead, we try to make space, getting our right leg a little bit wider than we might normally would for our warrior one. So you have your hips shining forward. Maybe you take your arms up or keep your hands towards heart center. Continue to engage the upper body and ground down into each foot. Letting that intention shine out even here, like we were in mountain pose. On your exhale, release the hands. Meet towards plank. Again, you can skip the chaturanga. We're meeting downward facing dog in the next couple breaths, or lower down towards up dog, back to down dog. Other side, left leg lifts. Hips squared off initially. Continue to power up into your left leg. Just taking note of any differences, knowing that, again, we only take note to accommodate and advocate, not to judge ourselves. One more breath to lift. Bend the knee, open your hip. And you can stay in stillness or add on some extra movement into the joints. Take one more full round of breath, and warrior one, step it forward. Take your time to set up the feet, then add the upper body. And one side's always going to feel kind of different. Getting curious about where this pose is at on this side. And our cognitive side, our minds always want to move into that judgment. Be like, oh, well, I could go lower, or this feels different than yesterday. All very natural things that happen where we've really trained our brain to go. But maybe for this moment, you move out of that space and back into something supportive. One more breath here. Exhale, move through your vinyasa, whatever that looks like. And the next breath, we'll meet back child's pose. Toes together, knees wide. Great place to even invite palms face up instead of palms face down. Allowing this to be a time to check back in with yourself before we continue this resiliency practice. We'll offer up different challenges in this next sequence that allow you to stay engaged and continues to invite curiosity to your entire being. So maybe you change your intention up before we move in again. Wherever you've chosen to be, we'll meet downward facing dog. We'll move into this sequence slow at first, just allowing us to engage anatomically, just noticing what needs to turn on in order to feel supported. Lift that right leg up towards the ceiling, bend your knee, open your hip. In your next breath, step it forward, find warrior two. So quite different feet than warrior one, where this one feels more like a balance beam, where we ground down into each foot, but at the same time zip in so we feel supported and uplifted in our pelvic floor. You can go T-shaped arms, almost act as if you're squeezing a pencil in between your shoulder blades, so you engage the back body as well. We'll move a couple times into our breath. So pump through that front leg, inhale, straight leg, palms up. Exhale, warrior two, come back down. Two more times, inhale, reach. Exhale, warrior two. Last time, inhale, exhale, warrior two. We move towards star pose, turn the feet towards the left side of the mat. Inhale, reach up. All right, we'll stay here for a couple breaths because this pose has been shown to be a power pose, where in times where we are not feeling resilient, we can come into that V for victory shape that we see so often when sprinters win the Olympics. They automatically throw up their arms. So can you embody that sense of confidence here And maybe put a smile on your face or allow your eyes to close. Continue to turn the muscles on in the torso and the legs so you can still feel upright and supported. About 2 more breaths here for this very powerful position. Take 1 more full breath. And we'll meet in Goddess. Very powerful position as well. Again, we engage the upper body. And just feel into your legs. Continue to move down, but feel supported still on the pelvic floor. That might feel like that uplifting. Basically, it's your bathroom muscles that are engaging that allow us to feel lighter in this pose. Stay for 1 more full breath. Reach back up, star pose, inhale. Side angle, front of the mat. Right knee bends, right elbow down, maybe right hand down towards a block or the ground, but really allowing that chest to turn open. Hand can be upright. Maybe you take it behind your back for a half bind or bicep by your ear. Endless possibilities for you to explore today. And that exploration might not even be taking the pose. We're here for 1 more full breath. Let's reverse your triangle. So straighten through that front leg. Inhale, reach back. We'll meet, cartwheel the hands down, back towards that runner's lunge. Back knee up or back knee down, your personal preference. But we'll engage this by moving into a twist. Left arm down, right arm up. Gaze can be wherever you want it to be that feels most empowering and supportive, so either gaze up or down. On your exhale, drop the hand down, gaze forward, step that left foot forward to meet chair pose. So we're back to that really, that big resiliency pose, right? Maybe you stay here with the arms uplifted or reach the arms back. Shift the weight forward, tippy toes. My quads are very much talking to me today. Whatever you've taken, we'll meet towards a standing position. Drop the heels, inhale, reach up, slight back bend. Exhale, forward fold, release. Separate those feet about hip width distance. Take peace fingers around the big toes. Lift halfway, inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold, release. Maybe slight bend at the elbows, slight bend at the knees to make this feel more accessible today. And if this forward fold is not suiting you in the moment, you can change it up back towards ragdoll, back towards something else. Continue to engage your breath. So often we lose sight of our foundation when we're trying to build something else. So re-engage your Ujjayi breath, even here in stillness. So I release the hands. We'll meet towards a yoga squat. Again, a couple options for this yoga squat today. When you move in, really again, try to feel that pelvic floor start to lift rather than just sinking down. Because when we come into something like this where we're dropping the shoulders, that moves us back into like that protective mode or even like disengaging our confidence. But when we roll our chest open, shoulders back, it's that same idea that we lead with the mountain pose. So chest upright, core involved. You can also come back into Goddess if your knees are just like, I'm not really wanting to go that low today. So find something that, again, that feels supportive, that you can advocate for where you're at right now. If you're wanting to move into an arm balance, you have some time to take crow pose for the next 2 to 3 breaths. If you're staying in this yoga squat, you You can also take that left arm down, right arm up. Continue to press away into that inner thigh line. Take your time to switch out, opposite arm. We'll meet towards a forward fold, straighten out the legs. Lift halfway, inhale. Let's all step back towards high plank position. Check in with yourself if you want to meet towards downward facing dog immediately, or take another vinyasa. Lower down, chaturanga, up dog inhale, downward facing exhale. All right, we got another leg. We'll continue to move slower at first, and then right after this, it'll be one breath, one movement. Re-engage your intention and breath. Left leg up. Bend your knee, open your hip. Warrior two, step it forward. So I'm going to turn towards the back of my mat so y'all can see me. Set up the legs. Feel the slight change or difference on this side. Again, what needs to shift for you to feel that sense of confidence and resiliency again? Then we'll pump the breath. Inhale, straight leg, palms up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, two. Last time, inhale. Exhale. We'll move back towards that star pose, our power pose today. Again, we'll hold. Just noticing again what might need to shift this time around, physically, mentally, emotionally, to stay in the resiliency. And sometimes resiliency might not even look like taking the pose at all, knowing that you always have the options. Take one more full round of breath here. And goddess pose, lower back down. All right, for this goddess, we'll take our hands down towards our inner thigh line and just get deeper into our spine by dropping one shoulder down. And then move towards your other shoulder on your exhale. Take one more time each side. Last time, switch it up. And we'll meet back towards star. Take your time to get there. And side angle, left knee bends. You can again take left elbow down, right arm up. Allowing yourself that moment to and see what's going on this side of your body. Could look quite different in how you're showing up in each posture. So half bind's available, maybe left arm down, right arm up towards the ground. Last full round of breath here. Use your core and leg strength to start to straighten that front leg out. Reverse your triangle. Reach that left arm back, bicep by the ear. Light grip onto the right hand. Your next breath, cartwheel those hands down, frame the front foot, pivot on the back foot. Add the twist, right arm down, left arm up. One more breath to lift. Exhale, release your hand back down. Gaze forward. We're meeting towards chair pose. So take your time to get there. It might take a couple steps. Maybe it's one step. Knees down or knees bent, glutes lowered. And sweep the arms back. Maybe you lift the heels up, shift the weight forward, tippy toes. We'll take a standing back bend, drop the heels down, inhale, reach your arms up. Keep pressing the hips forward. Exhale, release the hands back down towards the mat. Then walk those feet about hip width distance out. Lift halfway, inhale, maybe peace fingers again, or you can go for gorilla pose with palms face up underneath the feet. For gorilla, I like to bend more at my knees. It makes it feel less, the ground less far away. While you're here, you can continue to relax your head. Any other shapes that you'd like instead of gorilla, go for it. Then wherever you're at, we're meeting back towards yoga squat. Same options as before. Continuing to uplift our chest, engage the core. Maybe you moved into something that you want to try again on this side of the body. Or maybe you didn't have the chance to move in on the other side that you want to try on this side. So plenty of opportunity for about the next 2 to 3 breaths that we're here. Last breath to stay. And we'll release, straighten out the legs. Halfway lift, inhale, step back, plank pose. Again, take your options. We're meeting towards child's pose. So allowing you to grab maybe a sip of water, maybe stay in child's pose. You can grab a towel off. I'm going to get a quick sip of water. Actually, tea, I should say. All right. So again, heads up that we will be here in the same postures that we took before, but moving one breath, one movement. In this, if you'd like to skip a pose or maybe add something on, this is more of your personal playtime that allows us to move the curiosity into maybe something completely different. Once you're ready, we'll meet back towards downward facing dog. So your breath and your movement may look quite different than mine, which is very normal. Really, no two bodies are the same. So continuing to listen to your body, your breath, and how you move. Reach the right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend your knee, open your hip. Warrior 2, step it forward. Take your time to get there. We'll take 3 pumps of the leg. Inhale, reach up, straight leg. Exhale, warrior 2. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Last time, inhale and exhale. Star pose, open up. We're not here as long, but still reaching for whatever intention it is. And goddess pose, sink down. Again, only one breath. Inhale, reach up, star pose. Side angle, front of the mat, right knee bends. Take one more full breath here. Reverse your triangles, straighten through your front leg, reach that right arm back. Then cartwheel the hands down, frame your front foot out. Add on the twist, left arm down, right arm high. Maybe it's a horizon lunge when you come onto the outer edge of each foot and then reach back. So that's an alternative as well. Wherever you're at, drop that right hand back down, gaze forward, left leg meets the right for chair pose. Inhale, reach up. Sweep the arms back on the exhale. Your next breath, drop the heels if you had them lifted. Inhale, rise, standing back bend. Exhale, forward fold. We're skipping the forward fold in the yoga squat. Halfway lift, inhale. Step or jump back. Move through your own flow. Once you're in downward facing dog, we'll move towards the other side. Take your time to lift your left leg up. Bend your knee, open your hip. Warrior 2, step it forward. 3 pumps of the breath. Inhale. Exhale. 2, inhale. Exhale. Last time, inhale, exhale. Star pose, turn towards the right side of the mat. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, reach up, star. Side angle, front of the mat. Left knee bends, right arm up. Stay an extra breath. Your inhale sends you back for reverse triangle. Straighten through the front leg. Inhale, reach your left arm up. On your next exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame your front foot, pivot on the back heel, add on the twist, right arm down, left arm up. Again, maybe you want to add in that horizon lunge to come onto the outer edge of each foot. We'll all meet back towards your lunge. Drop the left hand down, gaze forward, right leg meets the left. Chair pose arms, lowered glutes, reach the arms back as the option. Maybe shift the weight forward, tippy toes. On your inhale, drop the heels. Inhale, reach up, standing back bend. Exhale, release, forward fold. Again, we'll stay here because we're going to add on some balance. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. So moving away from the sequence, take your time to stand all the way up. Sweep the arms high once you're there. And mountain pose, re-engage. All right, we'll be here in mountain pose for about 1 to 2 breaths and grabbing any props that you might want for your balancing postures. So we're going to be moving into tree and into eagle. So that could mean grabbing a block to keep close by. Maybe you even grab a towel if you need to wipe yourself off. But we'll move into balance poses now. Before we move, allow your eyes to close and try shifting the weight forward and back. So it almost feels like you're taking a little rock forward, little rock back. And just notice how that might feel really unstable when we shift the weight forward or back into our feet. Now really ground down into the entire foot, hold in stillness. Act as if you're zipping energy up into your arches, inhaling it up toward your body, then exhaling, allowing the rest of the foot, the 4 corners, to ground down firmly. Core turns on again, side body's turned on, legs are on, hugging muscle to bone. Here we move in from tree with this solid foundation. So give yourself some time to choose your own tree today. So that could be a kickstand leg, could be right above your ankle. Maybe you even put it on a block up towards your inner thigh line, or even the Ashtanga variation. So tons of different trees, kind of mimicking what we see out on hikes. Tons of different trees out there. No tree is the same. And getting that tall, proud chest, even here. Maybe you close your eyes, or you can add on a different arm variation. We'll be here for a couple breaths. Keep grounding, but zipping up as well. Finding that yin and yang presence in really each and every pose that we come into. If your tree's wobbly, see where your mind goes in that. And then if you fall out, see where your mind goes with that as well. And then try to come back in. And small acts of resiliency there when we allow ourselves to shift and respond. Go ahead and shake it out. Maybe do a little dance. I like to add dancing into my practice, whatever that can happen. If you needed a dance break, here's a great time to do it. Then we'll move towards the other side for our tree. And check in with yourself, see if this tree needs to look different than the tree on the other side. In fact, I hope it does, if that's a mental or physical shift. We'll be here the same amount of time, easing into the breath. And on your exhale, release the legs. Another dance. All right. So we're coming into eagle now. Very different energetic pose in what we were just expressing in our tree. So we'll start on in chair pose actually. So squeeze the legs, bend slightly at the knees, then reach your right leg around. So again, block can go right underneath your right toes. Maybe you double wrap. Maybe you go into a number 4 shape instead. Then for the arms, right arm underneath the left for eagle wrapped, or give yourself a hug. So very different energy here rather than arms chest wide open. We give ourselves that exact restorative motion of really just allowing ourselves to hug tight, be with ourselves, be in this sense of protection, where we find that energy that we need in order to move and continue in this resiliency. Last breath. Big unwind, inhale, and exhale, sink back down, chair pose legs. Set up for the other side now. Left leg over. Again, where do you need to be? Then left arm under. I'm going to go for the hug today. So I definitely know that giving myself this hug is just a sign for self-compassion. I know that I've been needing a lot of that lately as I continue to move into different shifts and changes. Stay for about 2 more breaths. Another big unwind, release, inhale, reach up. And exhale, forward fold, come down. All right, so we'll start to make our way down towards the floor, counteracting with some more restorative poses. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, plank pose. We're just using this as a transition. You're like, Kelsey, you just said restorative poses. This is not restorative. But experiencing one last moment of resiliency before we find that much needed rest. Great place to drop the knees here. Stay for one more inhale and exhale, lower all the way down towards your belly. We'll take crocodile pose. So stack the left arm on top of the right or right arm on top of the left, whatever feels more comfortable. Then just drop your head down towards your forearms. Allow yourself to rest. If you'd like to prep more into the back, you can bend your knees and windshield wiper your legs. So allowing that rocking motion to ease the lumbar. If you're taking some movement into the legs, drop the legs back down. Let's find a Sphinx pose. So for Sphinx, we drop our forearms down. You might need to lift the hips up and then tuck that tailbone down just to find some lengthening into your lower back. But then act as if you're pulling yourself forward with your forearms so that chest starts to open up more, the collarbone starts to widen. We'll move more into our neck just by dropping our chin down towards our chest. Then inhale, look back forward or even up. Exhale, look back down. Inhale, look back up. On your next exhale, drop the chin down towards your chest. You can stay here, move your head side to side. So we did a lot of postures today that really engaged your resiliency. These restorative postures are necessary for resiliency too. Because at the same time, when we move into action, we have to find ease. As if we continue to move into action permanently, we're going to burn out. So finding these restorative poses just to allow our body to feel restored, feel balanced. We'll move back towards just staring forward, chest upright, Sphinx pose. Maybe you want to turn this into a cobra or upward facing dog for a deeper back bend, or even seal pose where your arms are out straight instead of forearms dropped. Lower all the way down onto the belly. And we'll flip over onto our back. However you want to get there. Once you're there, feet ground down, knees up. We'll take a very brief bridge pose just to lengthen out the lower back. Press the hips up, lift the glutes just for one breath. And exhale, lower down. Happy baby. You can take peace fingers around the big toes, maybe onto the outer edges of the feet. Or you don't even have to lift your feet up at all, and just take your knees out wide towards your side body. Just allowing your hips to open before we set up for pigeon on our backs. From happy baby, draw your knees back in toward your chest. Give yourself a big old hug. And drop the feet down, knees up towards the ceiling. We'll set up for pigeon on our backs today. If you do prefer to take pigeon on your belly or anything else, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to be demoing pigeon on your back body. Cross the right leg over towards that number 4 shape. You can continue to stay here with your feet grounded, or maybe thread your arms through the space you created. Either grab behind the left hamstring or underneath the left kneecap on top of the shin. We're here just for a few breaths before we close out our practice. When we come into these final restorative poses, just again, following the breath, following where the mind goes, noticing, taking in, using this as insight to where you need to go today. When you're ready, switch sides. Take your time to move there, establishing the pose first, and then maybe adding on. Take your last few breaths here. Allow your legs to release. We'll move into a gentle twist. Drop your knees towards one side. Gaze can still be up towards the ceiling or gaze opposite direction of your bent knees. Not here long. Pass through towards your opposite side. We'll meet back towards the center, giving ourselves one last big hug. This time around, your nose up to meet your knees. And we'll move into your Shavasana just for a couple minutes. Shavasana can look really whatever you want it to look like. So it could be all the way lied down, maybe in a star pose stance, and be in a seated position, belly, side body, anything that allows you to feel that sense of ease, that you can continue to move into restoration in these final few moments of the practice. And even here, we develop resiliency muscles. So a lot of the times when I was initially starting out with my yoga practice, Shavasana was the hardest pose for me because it allowed me to really be with my mind, my body. So we can continue to develop a sense of resiliency by showing up into something that allows us to engage with our senses. And of course, feeling free to come out if it's feeling triggering at all, knowing that you always have the option to come out or stay in. But while you're here, invite the breath back, follow it, get curious with it again. And letting this still be your anchor as you move into the rest of the day. Reestablish your intention while you're in your Shavasana. Changing it or shifting it as needed. And then when you're ready, so allowing yourself to come out, take any natural stretches or breath work that feels good in this moment.